I'm pleased to see everyone here, and I wanted to welcome everybody because I'm here to sign some very important legislation that will help us get synthetic drugs off of the shelves of DC retailers and off of the streets of the District of Columbia. Yes, that's a good thing. I want to thank the members of the Council of the District of Columbia that stepped up to the plate and moved expeditiously my emergency bill. And I see several council members here, and I want to start by thanking the chairman of the Judiciary Committee and Ward 5 Council Member Kenyon McDuffie. Thank you for your help. At-large Council Member Anita Bonds, thank you for your help. The Ward 4 Council Member Brandon Todd, thank you for your support. And the Ward 6 Council Member Charles Allen. So thank you all very much. So let me say a bit about this bold new law, which I will sign, which will give the Metropolitan Police Department, the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, and the district government as a whole the ability to take swifter and stronger action against bad actors that sell illegal products in their stores. On the street, these drugs are often referred to as synthetic marijuana. But let me be clear, I don't want anybody to be fooled. These chemicals are nothing like marijuana, and they can lead to terrible consequences, including seizures, suicidal behavior, violence, criminal behavior, and even death. In recent months, you've heard me talk about, you've seen reported in the news and in the newspapers that these chemicals have led to overdoses in dozens of individuals who have been transported to our area hospitals. Meanwhile, we believe that many of these overdoses have gone unreported and untreated. Synthetic drugs represent a serious threat to our public health and public safety. So we're doing everything that we can to fight the distribution of these drugs, which are often sold at retail establishments, including liquor stores and gas stations. The district will not tolerate the sale of these drugs, and we will punish any business selling them or even possessing them with this new law. MPD now has the authority to shut down a first offender for up to 96 hours. And that business will face a $10,000 fine for its first violation. And my legislation takes a two-strikes approach. The MPD has the authority to shut down repeat offenders for up to 30 days, and the business will face a $20,000 fine. And a second offender will hear from us because the DCRA will move to permanently shut down and revoke that business license. So I want to repeat this because it's important. Any business that possesses synthetic drugs will face harsh penalties. And if you do it again, you'll be shut down. Because we all know that the vast majority of businesses operating in Washington, D.C. are doing the right thing. They are not selling drugs. And that's why DCRA is stepping up efforts to work with businesses that are pledging to not sell synthetic drugs. And we have representatives of a few of those businesses here today. So I want to thank the Korean American Grocers Association. Give them a big round of applause. I want to thank the Washington Area Liquor Sellers Association. I see my friend Mr. Singh here. Thank you for your help and your leadership here. Let's face it, a lot of our mom and pop businesses, corner store businesses have been in our neighborhoods selling quality products for years and decades, when a lot of the major retailers wouldn't. So I want to be clear that we have some good businesses that are doing the right thing, and sometimes in dangerous conditions. And so we want to thank them for their service. And they want to stand with us and say, if you're a bad actor, giving the rest of us a bad name, we want to see you put out of business. And that's the message that we want to send today. So I want to also be clear that this has been a major and cooperative effort and initiative among the executive and the legislative branch. You see a number of my leaders here, with the city administrator who is here. The deputy city administrator has been working with the agencies in the public safety cluster. The chief of police is in the forefront of this effort, not only in Washington, but also in reaching out to police chiefs of other major American cities. This problem is not particular to the city of Washington, and I know that this police chief, like she has done when it came to the theft of electronics, has said to the federal government and other major American cities, we need your help. And we're going to need the federal government to step up to the plate in combating synthetic marijuana too. I also want to thank the men and women of our fire and emergency medical service. Remember I told you about these overdoses? Guess who gets called? And we are experiencing, as you know, given our tremendous growth in this city, increased pressures on our fire department for medical calls, and this spike does not help. I want to thank the men and women of the Department of Consumer and Regulatory Affairs, led by Melinda Bowling, who's also behind me, and DCRA is going to get to work as it has been in partnership with MPD and making sure that all of our businesses are following the rules. I also want to recognize members of our Health and Human Services cluster, our doctor, our health director, LaQuandra Nesbitt, who is putting in a protocol with area emergency rooms so that we can follow the use of synthetic drugs in our city, as well as our behavioral health director, Dr. Bizzaro, who is working in consultation with Dr. Nesbitt and our Human Services cluster to follow instances of this substance abuse and make sure all of our residents have access to treatment. So let me acknowledge that we've been joined by the Ward 8 Council member, LaRuby May, and I want to thank you, Ms. May. For your support and really pushing hard to make sure that we were here today. So before we go to the signing of the bill, I want to ask the Chief of Police to add any additional comments on the law and how this will affect our law enforcement efforts, including any stepped-up initiatives that we have around drug interdiction.
So make no mistake about it, this drug not only is dangerous to those who use it, it is dangerous to everybody else around them. And also make no mistake about it, the people that are disproportionately affected by the use of this drug right now is those that live in poverty, right? So the homeless population, those living in poverty are being disproportionately affected by this drug, and this has to stop. The mayor has signed, her signing this today is groundbreaking, because if the motive is profit, we've taken the profit out, right? Because profit can't come before lives, and that's what's happening. And I tell you, I go on the street, I don't know how the fire department, I've watched my colleagues from DC Fire EMS, you know, in just an hour's time on the street last week, I saw 3 of these overdoses. People completely disoriented, disconnected, or unconscious, sometimes in the middle of the street. Ambulance crews and firefighters coming, trying to help people who become violent and assaultive. This has just got to stop. And so hats off to the mayor for her effort to do this and stop the participation at the business level. We've got work to do on the ground, because it is now becoming a street level drug. And so we have a specialized new narcotics unit that has been out working this on the streets. But as the mayor said, I have spoken with about 9 other police chiefs. I have another conference call with major city chiefs on Monday. This is not just here in Washington, D.C. This is happening across the country, across the globe, actually. And we have to put our heads together and figure out what the national strategy is going to be to stop this madness, because we don't want to go back to the crack cocaine days of what happens when people are addicted to dangerous drugs, because that is not where we want to be. So thank you very much, Mayor, for your leadership on this.
All right, I would love to invite the members of the council to join me at the table with all of our agency officials, and we'll sign the bill.
Thank you.
You got it.
This is what
Thank
Bill
you.
will be putting, DCRA will be putting out. Doesn't sound as if things stick around.
I'll just reset for questions.
Yep.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thanks again. All right.
Oh, Kenyon. Have a pen. Okay, so we're happy to take a few questions on topic, and then I'll take any general questions. Yes, ma'am. May I just remind everybody to say their name and their organization? Yes, Ms. Noble. Yes, ma'am.
How will law enforcement start? Are you expecting to target businesses over the weekend? Do you have any in mind that people will be visiting to check on this sort of thing?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because from time to time, when I'm out in the community, somebody will whisper in my ear about a particular business. I know the chief gets text, the officers get text, and community people sometimes will know before the police do. And so all of the information that we have received, either from 911, 311, or in a variety of ways to law enforcement or to DCRA, will be part of a strategy.
People will be out over the weekend looking for businesses?
The law goes into effect just a couple of minutes ago. Yes. Yes, Ms. Brazil.
Can you walk us through, step by step, the process by which this law will be administered, in terms of, you say you're out on the street and someone whispers in your ear about an establishment. Okay. I assume you take that information, you pass it on to who, and then what does the police department do? What's on their plate, and what does DCRA do?
Well, I would pass it on. The first thing I would do is pass it on to law enforcement and let law enforcement figure out if it's a law enforcement issue or a regulatory issue. And that's what I would suggest to everybody. But I'll have the chief and Ms. Bowling talk about how investigations are undertaken from each agency. Chief?
I'll let the DCRA talk about the specifics for the closure, but yes, we do start with information. That's where it all begins, but that's not the end of it. We don't just take a tip or information and then go shut a business down. There is a process. We will have to verify that they are in possession and with intent to sell, a sale of the synthetic cannabinoids. So there'll be start with a police operation. Some of it will be jointly with DCRA, and some will be followed up by DCRA. The specific steps, once that is determined, is they'll be issued a letter for the emergency closure. They'll be placarded, much like ABC establishments when violent incidents occur, and that 96-hour closure goes into place, and then DCRA takes it from there.
And so once the closure goes into place, the owner of the business has an opportunity for due process, and they would appear before the Office of Administrative Hearings, where our counsel, our internal general counsel, would represent the agency to show that there were grounds for the closure and to work out the fines or whatever enforcement actions that we wanted to take against this particular establishment. And as you've heard, Ms. Brazil, the fines and enforcements goes up with subsequent violations. So the first time you had the $10,000 and the second time $20,000, and we're looking for permanent revocation.
Yeah, I'm going to take press questions first, and then I'll get to you, ma'am. Press question? Okay, yes.
This question's actually for Dr. Nesbitt. You mentioned a new protocol at hospitals in the area coordinated. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Okay, Doc.
Yes, so a few weeks ago, we began to use our syndromic surveillance system, which is what we use to detect above normal levels of activity for any particular health condition. But beginning next week, we'll be able to begin to implement drug testing for synthetic cannabinoids in our emergency rooms. Standard drug tests do not detect this particular drug, so that has not been a tool available to our physicians in the community who are seeing this in their emergency room. So beginning next week, this will be an option available to them.
Yes.
Question for the chief. Can you speak at all about how aggressively you're going to pursue this? In other words, is it largely following up on tips that you've had in the community? Are you actually going to be doing a sort of sweep in certain areas?
We have a lot of information on not only just that has come in from community members, because the community members, quite honestly, the community members are very, very frustrated about the businesses that continue to sell in the neighborhoods. They are eager to share that information with us. But we also have a narcotics enforcement unit that has been out doing some work on the street as well. So we have identified some businesses that we are going to be working on, and I think the risk is just too high for us not to be aggressive about getting it out of the businesses first, because that's. Unfortunately, there's a lot of young people that think if they can walk into a business and buy something that's got Scooby on the front, that it's harmless, and those are the ones that are most at risk of dying from using this. So we have to hit the businesses first.
Yes, Mark, and then you. Okay.
So I'm wondering if you could tell us, what is the current penalties for individuals either possessing this or selling it on the street? Is it illegal for an individual to possess this stuff right now?
Chief.
We want to try and answer that?
Yeah, it is illegal. Generally, what we're running into now is that the cases are initially being no-papered by the U.S. Attorney's Office, but Vince Cohen has told us that, and it's a testing issue, DEA does our testing. If we can establish through testing that the synthetic cannabinoids exists in what we seize, then we can go back and charge the individuals. It would be a drug charge very similar to the distribution of heroin or cocaine. The same penalties.
But are you telling us that right now you're not able to do those testing and bring those charges?
The DEA has told us that they will be able to do that kind of testing, but it doesn't happen as quickly as we would like. So
do you know when they'll be able to start doing that?
I don't know.
And then, Chief, could I follow up? There have been 2 cases recently where there have at least been talk of K2 or whatever, synthetic marijuana being linked to, that would be the Metro stabbing and the abandoned baby. Can you talk about those two cases?
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent question, and I'll say this very generally. Because we're not, testing folks in those cases, the police department doesn't get involved in that. Much of the information that we received is through witnesses that'll suggest that folks are using this substance before they're involved in violent criminal behavior. And we have been getting a lot of that information from witnesses. So there is a strong indication that the synthetic cannabinoids is responsible for a lot of the violence that we're encountering.
So specifically the Metro stabbing?
I can't talk, it wouldn't be right for me to talk about a specific case, but I can tell you very generally that in a lot of our violent crimes, we're getting information from witnesses to suggest that this is an impetus for the crime.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Chief, you said that this drug is becoming a street-level drug. Is that different than what it's currently at right now, being sold in stores, or is there any difference there?
Yeah, and then that's why I say that it's affecting disproportionately people living in poverty, because even though it's very cheap to purchase packaged in a store, what we're seeing is people purchasing those packages and then breaking those packages down into individual sticks or cigar-rolled joints, so to speak, and then selling them individually, so, for much less. So it's impacting a much bigger population and becoming a street-level drug. We have gone out and made arrests of street-level distribution cases, and to Mark's earlier question, we submit those off for lab testing, and when that lab testing comes back, if it comes back confirming that, we can then rebring criminal cases made from the original stop and seizure. So it is a little bit of a delay process, but, and we do know what the primary chemicals that are being found in the cannabinoids here in Washington, D.C. are from some other testing that's been done. So yes, it is very much a street-level drug.
I have a question. I guess this stuff started because people were trying to pass marijuana tests. Is that correct? My question is, DC still testing people for, can you still get in trouble for testing positive for marijuana in the city? And I guess if people are doing this, should they be smoking marijuana instead of this stuff?
Well, I don't know that I would agree with your first conclusion. So I don't know why it got started, why people are using synthetic drugs.
That's what I've heard in the past talking to people on the street, is they wanted not to flaunt
Well,
the drug
again,
test.
I don't know that I would agree with your conclusion. But there are, employers can continue to test for marijuana, and some, like the police chief, for example, you can't use marijuana in police or streets. So there are different employers
I'm
and
talking
different
about criminal
Let me
issues,
finish,
going to
please.
jail.
Let me finish. And so there are different classes of where people can be tested. So your question is,
My question is, if you're a person who is in the criminal justice system, who at least in the past, could not test positive for marijuana without the risk of going back to jail.
oh, so is it a condition of parole, marijuana?
So has it changed? Is marijuana no longer tested? Or
So what I will say is that we've been working with Pretrial Services Agency, which is the one agency that has been doing some sampling, survey sampling to check on positive, because they've heard anecdotally the things that you're talking about, that people under supervision would use the synthetics because they're not picked up on a random drug screen. However, there is a drug screen that does pick it up. And that drug screen, in the district at least, and what I'm hearing many other cities, when random samples are done, that drug screen that tests for the cannabinoids is now picking up a positive rate that is equivalent for the first time in a long time to the positive rates for cocaine. So it is a very high positive rate in the random samplings that have been done. Right now, it is not a condition of release, parole, probation, people under supervision, but that is something that is being looked at very hard nationally.
And Chief, my question though is, are people still facing the risk of jail for testing positive for marijuana?
I can't answer that question. I'm not in charge of a parole probation agency. I don't believe pretrial services still test for marijuana presence, but they may. I don't know.
Couple more questions.
Yes, Ms. Noble and then Graham.
Since this is in part based off of the ability to shut down clubs when there's been violence there, could you and the chief both be able to talk a little bit about how successful that has been in addressing violence at clubs, past just that 96-hour period? Do you think that, since they're similar, do you think that that's led to and could see additional, kind of in the long term?
Well, I will just speak based on my anecdotal experience as a ward council member and now as mayor. I think that the ABC holders, the club owners, take very seriously following the letter of the law if it comes to an incident in their club. And they have a strong incentive to do so, because if they don't, they know that they can be shut down immediately, which has an immediate, especially for club owners, the financial impact is acute, but the impact on their reputation is also significant. So I do think that club owners take very seriously, they make it their business to know what their obligation is if they have an incident in their club, and to follow it. And the thing about the enforcement of laws, when it's clear, certain, and that there's going to be enforcement, people are more likely to comply. I don't know if you want to add anything, Chief. Okay, Graham?
Mayor, in the wake of Kevin Sutherland's death in the Metro stabbing, part of the conversation has turned to what bystanders could have done, what they should have done. I'm just curious, God forbid if something like this were to happen again, what should, riders, in the car do? What should people do in a situation like that? What does the chief think?
Right. Well, certainly none of us were there, and not only does my heart go out to Kevin's family, but to the people who had to witness it, and to the first responders who responded to it. I think that none of us knows what that situation was like, and so what I would tell all of our residents is to be safe and to call for help in the safest way that you can, as soon as you can. And while this was an extraordinary event on our metro system is vastly safe, and I think it should also be clear to anybody who rides Metro or anybody who would intend to do harm to a Metro employee or passenger, that you are going to be caught. You're going to be seen coming in the Metro, you're going to be seen on the platform, and you're going to be seen exiting the Metro, and you will be caught. Okay, so I'll take a few questions from the community. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Madam
Yes.
Mayor. Ms. Nightingale, Ward 7,
Yes, ma'am.
ANC Commissioner. I'd like to, know when the ANC commissioners would receive the new legislation. That's part one. And then part B is concerning, I'm a piggyback off of this other young lady's comment, for the treatment when we figure or find out where the drugs are coming from, if we have a problem within the household.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question.
How would we go about treatment for that individual?
And I'm really glad that you asked that question, and I'm going to turn to Dr. Bazran in just a second, because family members notice these things first. Teachers, employers, people who come into contact notice bizarre behavior from people, and we should treat it urgently and make sure that as many of resources that we have available in the city are brought to bear for that person. Dr. Bazran.
Thank you. I think that there are a couple of resources that we have that are available to people within the community. One is if you think that somebody is in need of care, you can call our Access Helpline immediately, and that's 1-888-7-WE-HELP. And you can be connected immediately to either our crisis team who can come out and support if it's an acute matter, or connect you directly to one of our providers. In addition, we have a website that we have developed. It's related to the K2 Zombie campaign, which is on the DBH website, and you can go there, and there's information for parents, for family members, for community members, and for individuals themselves regarding, what K2 is or what synthetics are, what you need to do, what the signs and symptoms might be, and where to get help.
Thank you. Ruby, and then Commissioner, you'll have, okay, I have the three right here. Ruby first, and then three here. Yeah.
That was the answer.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir, Commissioner.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mayor. Thank you for signing into law. But my question I have is, you're going after the store owners now. Does this same law apply to individuals that sell this synthetic drug out in the street and in their homes?
Well, what the Assistant Chief just talked to you about is the charge that an individual who is selling or possessing would face, and the additional work that we need to do with our federal partners to make sure that the appropriate testing and actual prosecutions are taking place. Yes, Ms. Nigro, and then Phil.
How are you? I'm Commissioner Nigro.
Commissioner.
ANC 6004. I want to publicly thank Director Bowling of DCRA and Chief Lanier for the work that has already been done in my community. And to speak for my constituents, we are very pleased by this bill being signed. It has been a long haul for my community, and more work needs to be done. But for the future, this is really going to help.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Pennell.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser, for this life-saving law. Next Monday, on July the 13th, the Anacostia Coordinating Council and the Wards 7 and 8 Prevention Center will be sponsoring a town hall meeting in Ward 8 on synthetic drugs at Campbell AME Church from 6:30 to 8:30. And I would like to know if I might borrow that poster board next to your right, and I will make sure that I bring it back the next day.
All right. Well, we could just put it up in a business and leave it there. How
Oh, well,
about
then
that?
can I get the one in the hallway
Yes.
too? All right, thank you.
They're yours. I like that. I like that. Okay, well, thank you for your questions, everybody, and thank you for being vigilant.